Hello, I'm Tiffany Cloud. Welcome to The Storm. Thank you for watching today on WYLN-TV. A few months ago, I interviewed Democrat Matt Cartwright, and shortly afterwards, he became Congressman Matt Cartwright of the 17th Congressional District in Pennsylvania. Well, today, I'm interviewing a gentleman who wishes to take the congressman's job. For his first appearance on The Storm after the break, Matthew Dietz, Republican candidate for the 17th Congressional District, only on WYLN-TV. Welcome back to The Storm. I am joined today by Matthew Dietz, who is running as a Republican for Congress in the 17th Congressional District, and this is your first television appearance.
This is it. Thanks.
Thank you for doing it on The Storm. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Happy to have you. It's a big decision to run for Congress, and I'm going to ask you about that in a little bit.
Okay.
But before I do, I really want the audience just to get to know you, find out a bit about who Matthew Dietz is. So if you could tell us about where you live, what you do, your family, your background.
Sure. So I'm 36 years old, live in Wind Gap with my wife and 3 children, which of course my children, the reason why I'm running, but we can get into that later. But for the last 7 years, I've been a corporate pilot based out of the Allentown Airport. But the last 18 years since graduating high school, I've been in the aviation industry, working my way up from baggage handler, cleaning the airplanes, the overnight airplanes on third shift, while going and putting myself through school during the day and flight schedules in the afternoon, while attending Lehigh Community College and Northampton Community College, getting the aviation professional pilot program.
Oh, I like hearing when somebody worked hard to get to where they are, as you did. So you started as handling baggage.
Yeah, going to the Delta airplanes at night that were parked, going up and cleaning the seat pockets and
That's
you know,
great.
all the fun stuff.
That's great. And so you said you're running because of your 3 kids. Tell me about that.
Sure. I think right now our country is at a crossroads, and we have 2 choices: continue with the dysfunction of Capitol Hill with the increased spending and debt that will burden our children, the entire next generation, or we can roll up our sleeves, work together, and get America back on the right track. Mm-hmm. And I know it's going to be difficult, but I believe with my family, support of my family and the friends and the people of the 17th District, I am the candidate that can have open, honest conversations with all parties that will bring about common sense solutions to our nation's issues.
Well, it's going to be interesting because you're running as a Republican.
Yep.
You're running against Congressman Cartwright. I've had Congressman Cartwright on the show. Very nice guy. You like him a lot. He went to Hamilton College. I went to Colgate. We joked we went to rival schools. Our politics, however, are like this, which he knows it is what it is. Yeah. What is it specifically about him politically that concerns you and his stances on the issues?
Sure, and I've heard from many people he's a nice guy, but I think his voting record of lock and step with the President and Obama administration is killing jobs in the United States, but also here in Pennsylvania. And the regulatory practices are keeping good family-sustaining jobs in the energy industry out of Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm.
I know that there's another candidate also running on the Republican side, so you're going to have a primary race, and I understand that he is going to be focusing a little bit more on the social issues, perhaps, as opposed to you're going to be focusing a little more on the fiscal issues.
Correct. So, yeah, the other candidate's running, another nice guy. I met with him. And although I share his beliefs on the social issues of being pro-life and pro Second Amendment, but I believe the issues that I'm hearing as I'm touring the district are jobs, especially family-sustaining jobs, and getting the economy turned around.
Okay, well, one of the things I'll ask you then, knowing that I'm not going to go right into Congressman Cartwright's position on limiting ammunition or anything like that, but I do want to ask you, one of the most costly thing to this economy is going to be the implementation of Obamacare. Yep. And Congressman Cartwright did confirm on my show when I interviewed him that he believes Obamacare didn't go far enough. What is your position on Obamacare? Do you believe it should be defunded?
So first of all, I would completely support the repeal of Obamacare. I think that the president's take on improving the health system was fundamentally wrong for the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. It's going to impose numerous unintended consequences. It's bad for patients, it's bad for the doctors, and it's bad for our economy. So while I support the full repeal of it, I'm actually proposing, which I think is separate than even a lot of other Republican candidates, are a way to get beyond the Affordable Care Act, the Obamacare. I'd like to put in legislation that allows states to opt out of the Affordable Care Act. So come up with benchmarks of percentage of population covered, cost of the premiums, quality of care, and put down those benchmarks and allow states, if you can meet, exceed those benchmarks, you can opt out of the Affordable Care Act. And all the Affordable Care Act did was try and put more people into the healthcare system without actually addressing the causes of the raising costs of them, such as tort reform,
Yes.
allowing individuals to buy insurance policies over state lines, and also allowing individuals and businesses both to be able to purchase healthcare premiums with pre-tax dollars. So the states that decide to opt out of the Affordable Care Act and really tackle those issues and even the malpractice insurance issues, we'll start seeing their costs come down, and so make it a 3 or 5 year waiver. If they're exceeding those benchmarks, they're out of the Affordable Care Act. And as soon as one state or a couple states start doing it, you'll start seeing a domino effect of other states following, and then the Affordable Care Act can be the backdrop, but we'll have real states doing their own individual plans, which is how the country was designed to be.
And what are your positions just related to being more fiscally responsible on our tax policies in this country?
Sure.
The need for tax reform. I mean, we all just so trust the IRS these days.
Exactly. So let me begin by saying I am dedicated to reducing our debt and spending, which is why I'm going to not to participate in the government publicly funded pension program. I'm going to continue to my own retirement plan that I have now. I also believe in the No Budget, No Pay Act, which opponent Matt Cartwright voted against. But I believe if we're voted in the office and not passing a budget, if we don't pass a budget, we should not be rewarded with a salary. I think it's one of the duties.
I love that idea. How about that? Because we went several years without passing a budget, which technically was against the Constitution of the United States.
Exactly.
And yet everybody was still taking their paychecks. In the private sector, you'd be canned
Yep.
if you didn't do what the rules are of your corporation.
Yep. So that's what I want to contribute to it. But I also believe that we need to simplify the tax code. We need to eliminate the loopholes that only benefit the few and lower the marginal tax rate on every American. We need to, in order to restore the economy, we need to empower small businesses to grow. And in order to empower the small businesses to grow, they need to see a simple, straightforward, and also long-term tax structure that they can plan around and get back to running their business instead of accounting and paperwork.
That'd be great. And of course, and I know this doesn't fall under your jurisdiction, but our Pennsylvania state legislature has to work faster and harder to get our corporate tax rate down in this state. I've been screaming about it for years. Now, on the next break, I know you're a pilot. One of the things that Congressman Cartwright talked about a lot when running was infrastructure and having greater rail in order to bring jobs to the area. So we're going to talk about that, but first we're going to take a break. We will be right back on The Storm. Welcome back to The Storm. I'm joined by Matthew Dietz, who's running for Congress in the 17th Congressional District as a Republican. So before the break, when Cartwright ran, he talked about the need for strong infrastructure, that we needed rail in Pennsylvania to really help bolster our economy. What are your thoughts, especially as a pilot?
Yeah, we definitely need infrastructure investment, but by simplifying the tax code and getting businesses to grow will bring the infrastructure improvements that we need.
Okay.
It doesn't need to be overly intrusive tax policies to fund these programs. I think if there's a need for it, money will follow. So if there's a need for rail and there's shipping waiting to be done and the taxes get out of the way of that job creation, they will fund the train rail system.
Okay. Speaking of fiscal responsibility, we as a country give a lot of money to countries that don't like us very much. Billions of dollars to countries that don't like us very much. Are you a believer in zero-based budgeting? And for the folks out there, basically, rather than every year, let's say we gave $3 billion last year to Pakistan, often the Congress starts by sitting down and saying, well, we'll start with $3 billion this year. No, I'm talking about start at zero, and they have to earn it.
That's exactly it. And I have a plan to get us through energy independence. As Ronald Reagan said, in order to negotiate, you need to be able to negotiate from a position of power. Us being dependent on the Middle East for foreign oil and energy does not give us any power.
Especially right now.
Exactly.
Little tenuous.
If we can develop our own energy sources where they still need our money, but we're not dependent on oil from them, it puts us in a position of power to negotiate with them for protecting American citizens that are over there and also the democracy in the Middle East.
So I take it then you would be a proponent of the Keystone Pipeline?
Absolutely I would, and I think that's great for the United States as a whole, but Pennsylvania itself is blessed with many natural resources of oil, gas, coal, and we need to encompass all that in an all-above energy policy.
Yeah, it's really scary what's going on. How you're right, we have the Marcellus Shale, we have all this natural gas under the feet of a lot of people in the state. Coal fires up something like 80% of the energy in the state, and this administration's policies of over-regulation and EPA intervention, it's really killing the coal industry.
It sure is, and I've talked to many people throughout the industry, and they're trying to shut down 2 non-efficient plants and open up 1 new, modern, efficient plant, and they're not getting the permits for it. That's ridiculous. So the EPA, although I agree with them in their intentions of the need for clean air and clean waters and all that, but they need to be, instead of an overbearing regulator, they need to be the guiding hand that helps guide these industries through safe practices and not preventing them from moving forward.
Okay. If you were elected to Congress, and I know you don't necessarily get your pick when you're a freshman congressman, but if you could, what committees would you want to serve on?
Sure. As a pilot and a son of a truck driving family, I would love to serve on the transportation board and also education.
Oh, okay. So talk to me about that. Why education?
So our children's education are singly collective the most important part of our futures. And having 3 kids, I want to make sure that it's an education system that gives them the opportunity to learn and excel as Americans. I believe that we need to introduce technology to advance our competitive edge, not only throughout the United States, but also throughout the world. We need to be able to compete on a technological level with all these other nations. So maybe they can make something cheaper or with lower cost materials, but we can have something higher quality, longer lasting, and better going forward.
Okay, that sounds interesting. How would you say that you are going to be different than a typical politician? Because what happens is people always run for office and they always have the perfect buzzwords and everything's great, and then they get in there and suddenly it becomes rote, political, sitting on the fence dribble. Are you going to be different?
I am. So as a family guy, I'm going to bring family values to Washington, and I think as a common sense conservative, I want to bring common sense solutions to our nation's issues. I want to work together with all parties, but so we can move forward to fiscal responsibility and get America back on the right track.
If there were 3 things you'd like to accomplish within your first year in office, and maybe 3's too much, maybe you'll be happy to accomplish 1 if it's a really big one, but,
Sure.
but what would they be?
To at least turn the corner on the realization that we need energy independence. Get the regulations back, and so that the industries in Pennsylvania and throughout the United States see an opening that it makes worthwhile sense to invest in it and to go forward. So we come across that realization. It's going to be 10, 15, 20 years to get to that goal. But if we can start turning the corner, start getting investment, start getting good family-sustaining jobs out of it, that would be key.
Okay. And that's a big one, and that's a big one. And again, in light of what is happening in the very unstable Middle East right now, where we are so dependent and reliant, we have all this energy right here in the state and across
that one
the nation.
issue covers so many things. It
Yes.
covers jobs, it helps with our Middle East policies, and so.
Okay. Is there anything else that you could say, boy, I really want that?
No, I think that's it. Just getting, and also just restoring the faith in the American people back into the government. I think,
How about that?
Yeah.
You think it's a little...
That's probably the hardest one to get in.
Yeah, well, again, when you have an administration that is calling things like going after members of the AP and what the IRS has done to the Tea Party, systematically targeting people, and 4 dead Americans in Benghazi, and still a year later, the president never saying where he was the evening of the attacks. For all we know, he went to bed, but he hasn't told us where he was. when that administration is calling all of this stuff phony scandals.
You talk to the family members of the people who died in Benghazi. It's not a phony scandal to them. Companies that have been harassed by the IRS and not being able to move forward, it's not phony to them. It's not phony to the American people. And even they had the Assad hearing today, and
oh yes, Major Nidal Hassan.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
I don't want to call him Major, actually.
Sure, yeah.
Take that away, Nidal Hassan.
Well, and they're still calling it a workplace violence instead of a terrorist attack. I mean, that's ridiculous.
And not only is it ridiculous because he actually said it was an act of jihad himself out of his own mouth, all of these people who are his victims as of this date of the taping of the show are denied the Purple Heart, which has tons of benefits in terms of scholarship and preferential medical care through the VA, et cetera. So, I mean,
and just the respect they deserve for enduring something like that.
And the respect that they deserve. Well, we're going to take another break, and then we have one more segment left. So we'll just go to commercial right now, and we'll be right back here on The Storm. Welcome back to The Storm, joined by Matthew Dietz, who's running for Congress in the 17th. And it's exciting stuff. It's your first time running.
This is.
For office.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind, but it's been great going out and talking to people in the district and hearing their concerns.
And what are you hearing as one of the top concerns?
The biggest thing is jobs, and not just minimum wage jobs, but family-sustaining jobs,
okay.
Good jobs.
Okay. Why are you the guy? Why, I mean, if I'm giving you the opportunity to pitch yourself, basically, tell the audience, why are you the person to vote for?
I'm a family values guy, a wife with 3 kids who volunteers both at my church and also at the park board, the community we live in. I think that I'm able to bring common sense solutions and the biggest thing is work with all parties so we can get to those common sense solutions and get America back on the right track.
Early on, you talked about the fact that there are 2 people running in the primary, at least as of the taping of the show, and you're going to be focusing more on the fiscal issues, and he's perhaps focusing on the social issues. We'll see. That's what it sounds like. But let's say you get through that, and let's say you become the Republican candidate. What would you say to the Democrats out there or the independents out there that get very caught up in the social issues and the conversation about the social issue discussions as opposed to the fiscal ones?
Absolutely, and I think they all come in line because I agree with a lot of their purpose of the social issues, but if we don't have our fiscal house in order, there's not going to be any money to pay for even the most modest social programs that we want to have.
So we really have to put we can't put the cart before the horse, so to speak. Fair enough. If you were to describe yourself in a few words, sort of my James Lipton question, but if you were, what would those words be?
I guess back to my days as a Boy Scout, be faithful, trustworthy, and loyal.
Okay, well, that would be nice in government for a change.
Yes.
We would like that. Excellent. I'm going to hold you to that if you get elected. I'm going to remind you about it. Okay. Now, I assume that you have a Facebook page?
We do. So if you go to our website, DietzForCongress.com, there are links in there for our Facebook and Twitter, which are just also Dietz for Congress.
Okay, so it's www.DietzForCongress.com.
Yep.
You're up on Facebook. Are you up on Twitter as well?
We are, yep, and both those links are on the website. And
you're going to be looking, I know it's early in the process because this race is not really for a year from November.
Correct, yeah. So, Matt Curry had spent $1.3 million, over $400,000 of his own money in the last election, and he'll probably be on pace for $2 million this time. So we're probably not going to be able to raise that, so we're going to go out and do it, the grassroots style. We're knocking on doors, hitting fairs. We were at a fair earlier today, went out there. So we're just doing it the old
I like grassroots campaigns. I mean, that's really what it should be about.
Yep.
It shouldn't be about who has the most money to spend, Republican or Democrat.
Exactly. I love making the personal connection to people as I go out through the district.
Well, and it's important because you don't know truly what the issues are of concern unless you actually talk to the people. It's not about just spewing the party platform.
Yeah, I'm saving the money on the polling and just doing that by going to the people and hearing it from them directly.
But you are going to have to raise some money.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, so you're starting early. So you're starting though this early, and in terms of your staff, you're really going to be looking more towards, I imagine, getting that in place for a year.
Yeah, so we have a general consultant right now. Once the 2013 cycle of elections are over, we'll be looking to ramp up our staff and push forward.
I'll be interested to see a debate, if you make it through the primary, a debate between you and Congressman Cartwright.
Look forward to it.
He's an attorney, and his style of presentation is very different than yours, and his politics are the polar opposite of yours. So it's going to be interesting to see, in terms of the makeup of the district, what is the Democrat to Republican ratio?
It's Democratic +4, but the issues pressing everyone are
it's 4-1.
Yeah, no, Democrat +4. Yeah,
oh, Democrat +4. Okay.
Yeah. So, but the issues throughout the whole district are not partisan issues. They're all jobs, economy, and they apply to everyone throughout the district, no matter what party affiliation they are.
Well, I truly wish you the best of luck. I always say it's fantastic when we get the next generation excited about politics, running in politics. I think it's great that your kids are learning about the process.
Exactly. So we're engaging both my family and kids and hopefully a whole new generation to take the torch and keep America great and what it is.
Well, I wish you the best of luck. I think it's going to be fantastic. And gosh, get ready. Start drinking those energy drinks.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Well, thanks again for coming on the show. Hopefully you'll be back throughout the course of your campaign.
Thank you.
And remember, folks, when you look around and you don't like what you see, you can do some things. You can actually run for office. Think about doing that. We need more young people running for office. You have to take a stand. You can't just wait for somebody to gallop in and take care of your problems. You can stand up. You could be a leader. You can do this. So thank you so much for watching, and tune into The Storm only on WYLN-TV.